Little Witch. Based off the book series by the same name, it features a family of witches. They're the standard green-skinned witches who live in the standard creepy mansion on the edge of the standard small town and perform these standard witchy activities. And apparently, every witch is born on October 31st.
Happy birthday, happy birthday. Grief and strife is in the air. People crying everywhere.
Yep, that sounds like one of my birthday parties, alright. All except for one, the youngest member of the family who was born on November 1st and doesn't quite fit in. She still has magical powers, but not the green skin. And she actually wants to socialize with people outside of her creepy family.
Today's our birthday. Why isn't it hers?
Mother? Why wasn't I born on Halloween?
Maybe you're not a real witch. Maybe that's why you're always so goody-goody.
I am a real witch. I am!
Oh, she's a real witch, all right. She can't help it that she was born one day late.
My question is, why aren't there any male members of the family? Or is it like the old medieval belief that all witches are the inbred offspring of Satan? So instead of going out on Halloween, Little Witch is left behind to hand out treats. But soon realizes that her family's idea of treats are not going to fly. So she instead resorts to tricks that will.
There's just enough room for two.
She takes the astronaut in outer space, she takes the pirate to an actual pirate ship in the Caribbean, and the kid dressed as the devil to an incredibly out-of-place CG sequence.
Hi, Mr. Lounge Singer.
Okay, Sin City. That's actually pretty clever. So even after having one of the best Halloweens of her life, she has to deal with her less than appealing birthday.
This party will be the same as all the others. Aunt Nasty will bust all of the balloons. Aunt Grouchy will make it rain. And Aunt Dippy will sit on my birthday cake. I never have any fun.
And this next part is actually pretty adorable. She visits all the places she went to last night, hoping to invite her new friends for her birthday.
Excuse me, little girl, but why are you still dressed for Halloween?
I'm not dressed for anything.
But she doesn't know that other kids dress in costumes on Halloween, because she's a witch all year long.
I'm Millie. I was the astronaut. I'm Sam. I was the pirate.
Well, it turns out Little Witch has some new friends after all, and hopefully her family will be a little bit more understanding of her ways. Until the day the Dark Father returns to perform the incestuous ritual to produce the next generation of witches. Witches in Stitches. There are many holiday specials about estranged families. Well, they don't get any more estranged than this. This special is about 3 witch sisters, the 2 youngest of which are the titular witches in stitches. If they're not messing up their spells, or in a fight about messing up their spells, then they're usually rolling on the ground, yucking it up. And the older sister, Abnorma, is understandably disgruntled with them.
You killed our sister! You killed our horrible little sister!
Oh, stop that insipid blubbering! I'm not incompetent like you two boobs! I can bring her back!
Isn't there a rule that if there's a group of at least 3 witches, one of them has to be super hot? Well, actually from the neck down? Well, it turns out this Halloween the family gets some bad news.
Listen to what you've done! Due to the inexcusable behavior at last year's Witches' Halloween Ball, one Wiki Witch and one Nelly Spell Witch, whose antics were embarrassing, humiliating, vile and revolting, repugnant and appalling,
I thought these were all good things for witches.
are hereby uninvited to this year's event.
Oh, is that all? That's not so bad.
Further, their sister, one Abnorma Witch, is also banned as punishment for failing to control her imbecilic relatives.
Now that's bad.
Well, as if ruining her Halloween wasn't enough, her sisters accidentally turn Abnorma into a pumpkin and send her rolling down into the backyard of this little twerp. He's whining that no one will come to his Halloween party because he's not popular enough. Or not popular enough to have a Halloween party, I'm not sure. Point is, he thinks the witch is a talking robot pumpkin decoration, and that is somehow his ticket to popularity.
Bizarre? Possibly evil?
Oh, man! This thing can even read! After this party is over, I'm gonna have to take it apart to see how it works!
Oh, no, you won't!
Seriously, he can't tell it's a real pumpkin just by touching it? Or if it was a robot, and it's one of the greatest breakthroughs in AI technology?
This is so cool!
You have no friends because you're obnoxious and dense.
Oh, what? It even flies!
You're killing me! You're killing me!
So as the party goes on, the Hogwarts dropouts cause mischief and mayhem as they try to track down their sister. Sounds like a pretty standard Halloween special, huh? Well, that's what I thought too, until I heard this.
Wow! It must be one of those freaky animatronic talking jack-o'-lantern.
Animatronic? When was this special made? This special was made in 1997? The animation looks like something from 1970s Hanna-Barbera. It recycles a lot of the same shots, actions, and mouth movements. But the designs do look like something out of Saturday morning cartoons from the mid-90s. Well, it turns out this special was produced by a very small studio in Indiana of all places. And it doesn't look like they've done anything else. Well, taking that into account, this special really isn't that bad. Like I said, it's got some of that old school charm. But I gotta say, I feel bad for Abnorma. Yeah, she was mean, but she wasn't really evil. She wasn't messing with anyone else, she just wanted to go to a Halloween party. And her family ruined it for her. Her sisters don't seem to give a crap about anything.
For breaking the cardinal witch's rule of non-exposure, all three of you are banished from the witch's Halloween ball for 100 years.
What?
Oh, who cares, you old stuffed shirt? There's other things to do on Halloween night.
And this kid gets rewarded for being a whiny little shit.
You're quite the popular lad.
I am.
This special is kind of like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, if Gilbert were part of a family of witches, and actual vegetation was involved. The Pumpkin That Couldn't Smile. In the second Raggedy Ann and Andy holiday special produced by Chuck Jones, Ann and Andy find themselves across the street from a melancholy young boy named Ralph. He's sad because he lives with his curmudgeon-y old aunt, who regards almost everything fun as foolishness. And this definitely includes Halloween.
But can I at least have a pumpkin?
Ralph, dear, Auntie knows best. Pumpkins cause fires and they attract fruit flies. Now you go to sleep. Or we'll go to the museum and look at the rocks.
Meanwhile, on the outskirts of town sits a lonely pumpkin that no one chose to take home.
Everybody wants grinning, happy pumpkins, or horrible, evil, wonderful pumpkins. But glum pumpkins, never. I can't help it. That's the way I was carved. Nobody wants me, and tonight's Halloween.
Well, of course, it's up to Raggedy Ann and Andy to make the trip, get the pumpkin, and bring it back home to the boy. And Chuck Jones, master of the comedic chase that he is, pulls out all the stops for these sequences.
No, sir. Nothing stronger than coffee. Roscoe, I want to apologize for doubting your...
But where the special really shines is seeing Raggedy Ann and Andy reminding Aunt Agatha how fun being a kid on Halloween really is.
And it was Halloween. Oh, yes. I was 9 years old and dressed like a terrible witch, and oh, I had a splendid, awful, terrifying, beautiful pumpkin.
By the way, have I ever shared my opinion that the banjo is simultaneously the most beautiful, the most comedic, and the most terrifying instrument ever created?
They understood why children like Halloween. Little children like you. And like Ralph.
All right, I admit it. I killed his mother and father for their fortune and then buried them in the pumpkin patch.
Why, hello, Pumpkin. Where did you come from? We needed you, Ralph and I. What took you so long?
This really is one of the most heartwarming specials I can remember. Yet, there is a reason why this is on the list. It's the paradox created by the pumpkin's own self-loathing. He said no one wanted him because he was carved with a sad face. But he starts smiling as soon as he hears that there's a little boy who needs him. Maybe this is meant to be a message about self-fulfilling prophecies. You'll never get anywhere if you have a bitter, defeatist attitude. Even a mouse got sick of hearing this crap after a while. And of course, none of this would have happened without Raggedy Ann's upbeat attitude and determination. And of course, a little help from her friends, especially Raggedy Andrew, who displays some really sick skateboard moves. Top-notch animation, a heartwarming story, and a slightly mixed message about appropriate holiday etiquette.
Oh my, aren't you terrifying?
We'd better give them something quickly, my dear, or they may do something terrible to us.
That's right, trick or treat us, or we'll...
But hey, it's Halloween.
A very merry hello and a happy new year.
The bonus stage Halloween special. You guys hear about this newfangled thing called the internet? Well, apparently they're even starting to make Halloween specials on that too. And some have become Halloween traditions in their own right. And one of those traditions for me is watching the bonus stage Halloween special.
Then the high-powered attorney went back up to the witness stand, but when he had gotten there, the witness had turned into a vampire! The attorney raced for his anti-vampire butcher's knife, but when he had gotten there, the knife had turned into a werewolf!
What am I looking at here exactly?
For those who don't know, bonus stage is a surreal high-speed pop culture miasma.
From the makers of Thrilly Killy comes Baby Ballface, and he's on a mission from God. Zilla. Tron.
Oh man, not another Baby Ballface game. Oh man, another Baby Ballface game.
It came from the early days of internet webtoons and was created and animated by Matt Wilson. Yeah, sure, he recycles mouth movements for all the characters, but come on, every episode was made by one guy. In the embryonic days of Flash animation, and back when you couldn't get paid for it. Not like today? Well, he animated every episode except one, the Halloween episode, which is actually just an old Halloween Popeye short he dubbed his characters over. It's a really good one too, where Bluto, or rather Phil, tries to scare away Andrew, played by Popeye, out of the house and Olive Oil / Ellie into his arms.
Church of Latter-day Saints, please give any donations you can into the sock puppet's mouth with its tongue sticking out. Why did I do that? I'm a horrible monster!
Although Popeye doesn't use spinach to solve his problem, so I guess it's crap. Right, Fox and Friends? First of all, I love this short. And second, hold on a second. I just synced it up with a higher quality video. The compression of the upload back then was terrible. But the reason why I and Matt Wilson were able to do this is because the short is in public domain. You can find it on a lot of different bargain bin DVD sets. Or hell, just look it up on YouTube.
Bonus stage does not condone any illegal downloading. Yeah, we do. Steal.
But as I was saying, on top of loving this short, it's a treat to see Matt Wilson's clever reinterpretation of what's on screen.
Hey Ellie, my head's turned into a balloon. Can you yank on the string and pull it down?
And is it wrong that I actually want to see Bluto get with olive oil?
Oh, Phil, when are you gonna shave that beard?
I can't control the pure rage in my face. It's so disgraced I can't place my race. Give me an embrace.
And that's the bonus stage Halloween special. A very unconventional Halloween special from a very unconventional series.
The lesson here is that friendship...
The Halloween that almost wasn't. Or The Night Dracula Saved the World, depending on which cut you get. I love that title. Dracula Saves the World. Even the people that made it realize that title is kinda bullshit. Not that Dracula, played by Judd Hirsch, doesn't try his hardest to set things right.
Halloween is in danger of disappearing forever.
Oh, no more Halloween. Oh, say it isn't so, Master.
Of course it isn't so. Who could have started such a rotten rumor?
It's just that the special has a weird way of overblowing the significance of things.
If this rumor is correct, this means the end of Halloween.
It's kind of like the opposite of the Grinch that stole Christmas. You know, how the superficial traditions don't really matter as long as you have your family and your health.
But we're still gonna have a Halloween though, aren't we?
Nope. Even if you have costumes and candies and decorations, if a witch doesn't fly over the moon at midnight, then pack it all up and set it on fire.
And so tonight, the ancient streets of Transylvania are wild with rumors.
Yes, the streets of Transylvania are going wild with rumors, spoken in perfect American English accents. So Dracula calls a meeting of all the world's top monsters. And who knew Igor was such a great hype man?
Y'all ready for this?
The incredible man whom Dr. Frankenstein created in his spare time from a lot of spare parts. The Frankenstein creature. Learned any new dance steps lately?
Watch this one.
Man, Hotel Transylvania was really weird before Gende got his hands on it. Dracula blames all the other monsters for going too soft over the years.
Letting that movie influence you so much that now, instead of terrifying the countryside, what are you doing? You're tap dancing.
Oh man, he's talking about Young Frankenstein, which was released shortly before this.
Shaving your beard and your hands just to make a razor blade commercial.
I tried looking up if there was an actual commercial with the Wolfman and razor blades, but all I got was this 7-Eleven one.
7-Eleven coffee brings out the best.
Well, it turns out that the witch is the one that started the rumor, because she wanted more pull.
Why? Because I can't stand being a witch anymore. I'm tired of all those ugly girl jokes. Tired of being feared instead of loved.
Okay, a bunch of kids are gonna show up and tell her how much they love Halloween and appreciate all the things that she does for them and how she's beautiful on the inside and it's gonna melt my heart and it's gonna be sweet and tender and let's just move along.
Why should you be the leader of the monster world and not me? Because I am your superior.
Oh my god, just make out already! And so, as Halloween quickly approaches...
And so it's a sad day here in Transylvania tonight.
The Transylvania in North Carolina has a thicker accent! Dracula and the other monsters try to force the witch into taking her broom ride. And I know that sounds dirty, and this isn't helping.
Now I want you to close your eyes and relax.
But nothing they try seems to work.
It's one of those days I wish I was dead. And stay dead.
Even when Dracula agrees to her demands, she basically says screw it.
A girl can change her mind, you know.
Oh, no, you wouldn't do that.
I don't want to be a witch anymore. Nobody loves a witch.
But then the children show up to the dilapidated castle. Somehow.
You look just like me.
This is my favorite costume because of you.
It is? Why?
Because you're one of my favorite people. Love you just the way you are.
That's good, that's good. Don't let her catch on that you've hypnotized them.
All right. I'll do it.
Okay, here's something I don't get. It's supposed to be midnight on Halloween, right? As in after all the kids have gone trick-or-treating already? What's the point? Will the candy disappear? And am I supposed to feel good that the witch got everything she wanted by throwing a tantrum? Including a weird disco party?
So, who's gonna dance with me?
Keep on thinking, keep on thinking.
Really? You're tired of being a witch, even though you can simply not be a witch anytime you want to? This special doesn't make a lick of sense. But it's still good, campy 1970s fun all the same. And it is funny to hear Judd Hirsch's ever-shifting accent.
What do I do now?
Master, believe me, they're just illusions.
Can't do me any harm, huh? Who did that, termite?
But at least he's trying. The Haunted Pumpkin of Sleepy Hollow. Oh yeah, you knew there was going to be something about Sleepy Hollow on this list. But I can tell you right now, this is not your typical legend. This is actually the story of Nicholas Crane, an apparent distant relative of Ichabod Crane, who shares much with his ancestor. A love of education, a vivid imagination, and he's a total scaredy cat.
Nick? Hey.
Well, that is until one Halloween, when he goes with his best friend Kate to pick out a pumpkin for the school haunted house. But the pumpkin they pick is the hiding place of the original manuscript for Washington Irving's Sleepy Hollow, that these two burglars stole from the Sleepy Hollow Museum. Okay, now what I thought was happening was a combination of the book and the pumpkin were somehow bringing the story to life.
What? Did you do that?
But apparently what actually happened in Sleepy Hollow, it was a completely different story.
Let me tell you the true story of that horseman. He was a Hessian, a merciless mercenary soldier who made a deal with dark forces so he would be unbeatable. Luckily, some of the revolutionary elders knew magic of their own. The Hessian was defeated and beheaded, and his head magically turned into a pumpkin.
Oh man, this is sounding really familiar.
Yeah, boy! Today is the anniversary of his death. If the pumpkin is placed on the Headless Horseman's shoulders at the stroke of midnight on Halloween Eve, the evil Hessian will live again, wholly unstoppable.
But none of this started until after the robbers put the manuscript in the pumpkin. But I guess it was just a miraculous coincidence they stuck it in the exact pumpkin the horseman needed on the exact night of his return. Seriously, I couldn't tell if it was the pumpkin, the book, or the horseman that was doing all this stuff.
This is all the Hessian's doing. He wants to hold you till he can come claim his head.
Speaking of which, I hope you enjoyed that little bit at the beginning, because he's barely in this. Most of the special from this point on is spent at the old Van Tassel mansion, which they keep calling a castle for some reason.
This is Castle Van Tassel?
Which is filled with phantom bats, spectral spiders, card-playing skeletons, and the ghost of the Van Tassels themselves, who apparently just love scaring people.
Wake up, you lazy dentists. Get yourselves in gear. The ghosts have guests, so please look alive. Sometimes our guests survive.
And I must remind you that this is all completely separate from the demonic Hessian that wants to get his head back so he can rule the world. But after everything he's been through, Nick finds the courage to actually fight back. Nyeh. Oh, cut it out. Let go of my cape. No. And just when it looks like Nick has no choice but to give him the pumpkin,
that old clock tower may say it's midnight, but my GPS synchronized watch is never wrong.
You mean the century-old clock in the abandoned rundown mansion isn't accurate? And so Nick finally admits to being the distant relative of Ichabod Crane, which means exactly... I don't know. This one had so much promise. I mean, it still really looks nice, but there are just too many weird, out-of-place things. Like Did you know wild pumpkins are hollow and pre-cut? Did the demon horse just get scared by a security guard? That's your normal face. Is the pumpkin releasing that goop? Or is it still the stuff from the school? Because how much can be on his shoe?
But at least we still have our pumpkin. And he looks really happy to be rid of that Hessian, too.
If that's the horseman's head, then why would it be glad to be rid of its body? Perspective! Stop using that stupid Scooby-Doo cutaway sound. Doesn't Katie sound like she's voiced by Kath Sose?
Wow! Washington Irving mentioned that battle in his Tale of the Headless Horseman. Don't be silly. We just hide here for a few more hours and it'll be all over.
The credits say she's Jules Dijon, the same actress that played Faith in Mirror's Edge, but I swear she sounds like a dead ringer for Kath Sose.
His relatives lost all his money in the stock market crash of 1929.
Is that a flip transition? So what else can I say about the Haunted Pumpkin of Sleepy Hollow? It was a coin toss between this one or the Jeff Goldblum version.
Faster. Must go faster. Must go faster.
Lumpkin the Pumpkin. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Moving still images, wavy computer effects, gratuitous abuse of looping animation, and what seems to be marker drawings already qualify this as one of the weirdest Halloween specials you'll ever see.
Look there!
I could drop the mic right now and move on, but it gets even weirder. Now, stop me if you heard this one before, but there's this little witch who's not interested in scaring people at all. In fact, she just wants to be nice. But Tara's mother wants her to pick out a pumpkin anyway, because the witch with the scariest pumpkin this year will become the new leader of the coven. Okay, they don't use that word, but come on. But instead of picking the biggest, scariest pumpkin she could find, she picks little Lumpkin, who doesn't want to scare either. So Lumpkin and her spend Halloween helping little kids, teaching right from wrong, and befriending little old ladies.
I'm the one all the children are afraid of.
Why are they afraid of you? You seem like a very nice lady to me.
Won't you come in?
And that's where things get both logical and baffling at the same time.
Why, I almost hit you, that's what. If I hadn't seen something orange, I would have.
Lumpkin, you've given me a great idea. Oh, powers of the orange pumpkin, multiply the face of Lumpkin. Make them glow so they'll be seen, and keep kids safe on Halloween.
So, was this actually a thing? Did they really sell giant Lumpkin body stickers to put on kids?
All the kids have my face on their costumes.
You know, part of me wants to say, screw you, it's Halloween. I'm not gonna ruin my costume. I'm dressing up as Dracula, dressed as Blackula, dressed as Batman, dressed as Snake Eyes. But, yes, the responsible thing to do is to make sure your little trick-or-treaters are safe. But the easiest alternative to brand name merchandising is just giving your kids some glow sticks. They love them, and they work with almost every costume. Instead of, I guess I'm Spider-Man that got hit with one of the Goblin's pumpkin bombs. Although this does lead to an amazing finale with the other witches.
Look! Here comes Lumpkin! And there comes Lumpkin!
And there comes Lumpkin.
Lumpkin is everywhere!
Yes, you will be the first sacrifice to our new god. Your blood will nourish he who walks behind the patches. But the strangest part is that Lumpkin seemed to already have this in mind. Just listen to his song.
There'd be a Lumpkin face on every child, and every trick-or-treating kid would wear a Lumpkin smile.
I think this was Lumpkin's plan all along. He waited for the sweetest, most naive witch he could find, and now he owns the souls of all the little children of the world. Now I'm gonna say it, this is kind of a neat little special. I still don't know if this was part of an advertising or something, but it's still kinda clever. However, much like Lumpkin, it may not look like much at first glance, but there's definitely a lot more to it. Just not enough to become the official mascot of Halloween, though. Finally! It's the Great Pumpkin! Did you bring me any presents? I bring you something far more valuable, children. Instead of toys that you'll just get tired of in a month, I bring you the gift of life. Boo! I wanted Skylanders. Tiny Toon Adventures Night Ghoulery. So as the title implies, this special is a series of short parody segments tied together with one giant parody of Night Gallery.
Simpsons did it! Simpsons did it!
Now you're probably thinking, since this was dumped unceremoniously on the WB 2 years after the series proper ended, that it must not be very good. But actually it's one of the best things to ever come out of the series.
Mad, you say? Crazy, you say? Well, would a madman do this? Don't answer that.
Just look at that transition. I can't tell you how happy I was to see TMS get one last crack at the Acme Acres gang. The animation is so good. And just look at these backgrounds. And it's coupled with what I think is some of the best writing to come out of this era.
Everywhere you went, people would say hi or hello or keep your pig off my land.
And plus there are some genuinely creepy moments. And surprisingly, the most disturbing segment is a Casper parody starring Little Sneezer, because he just incinerates everything. And of course, what would Tiny Toons be without tributes to Tim Burton and Steven Spielberg? But despite being so good, there's just so much weirdness surrounding this special. First of all, it was butchered. This amazing opening was cut out of the original broadcast, so you could only see it on VHS. But there was such a limited release that original copies cost about $100 a pop, and since technically it's not part of the original run of the series, it has yet to get a DVD or digital release. Glad to see the old Jack Warner spirit is still around the lot. And you know what's one of the weirdest things? This was re-aired twice last year. Once on the Hub and once on the CW. And I could still barely find a decent recording of it. Maybe that's because every channel that has shown this has died. In fact, I think it killed off Saturday morning cartoons. Okay, now for something weird in the actual special. Because of a falling out, Charlie Adler did not come back to play Buster. That honor actually goes to John Kassir, which is strangely appropriate because he also voiced the Crypt Keeper. He was also Buster in the Tiny Toons Spring Break special, and I think they knew that it sounded kinda off, like he has a cold or something.
But how do we get Elmira off her tail?
So maybe that's why he only appears in one Abbott and Costello parody, so they can write it off as if he's doing an accent.
Here's 2 bits. Get yourself a haircut.
Thanks. I will.
I'm not sure why they made this choice of replacement. Maybe because Charlie Adler did a Crypt Keeper impression in one episode, and they thought Kassir could reverse it?
Now listen, if you don't stop imagining these crazy things, I'll take you to a doctor to have your head examined.
Oh, and here's an interesting tidbit found in the Night of the Living Dead parody.
In the cartoon, The Amazing 3, there was a slight flutter on Fifi's face in scene C-43, and I wanted to know if that was a deliberate in-joke or just a mistake. And when is Fifi gonna get her own series?
This was based off a real guy that would write to the show about how much he lust for Fifi. So this was one last chance to take a jab at him.
Hey, come back! I have Lulu on tape!
This was also the last performance of Don Messick before his death in 1997, who gives an amazing soliloquy about vacuum maintenance during the Telltale Heart parody.
That vacuum weighed 7.2 pounds and was one of the heavier ones that had a light in front. Well, there was one that was heavier, but it had an 8-watt bulb, and mine had a 15-watt, which is odd because you'd think the small bulb would be lighter and the whole machine would be lighter, but nowadays they put all kinds of different handle types and even the power cords that can have a significant effect on the weight of the machine, which they make up for with power assist drives and fancy names like Zoom Broom. But there's nothing like pushing a big heavy vacuum across some soiled shag and hearing the little plinkety-plink of objects going around the meter ball car and into the bag.
Any downside to this special is the fact that they actually showed the best segment first.
Can you ever forgive me?
Yes, but you'll have to replace it.
Anything.
Money won't be necessary.
Are we done?
No. Now it's time for the attachments.
But I will say they do use Babs to her fullest improv potential as the night gallery hostess.
And now a study in stone. A portrait in panic as a lackluster lawyer meets his match in...
Let me guess. Could it be Satan?
I'd say you should check it out, but you probably can't. Either way, with funny stories, lots of shout-outs, and great animation, this is an absolute perfect way to remember Tiny Toons. Well, that, or Fifi's rendition of Where the Boys Are.